Mr President, I move notice of motion private business number 7 standing in my name, namely that I have leave to introduce a bill for an act to amend the Casino Act 1997 and the Gaming Machines Act 1992.
Is that seconded? Put the question. Those for the question say aye. Against say no. I think the ayes have it.
A bill, Mr President.
Bring it up.
The bill for an act to amend the Casino Act 1997 and the Gaming Machines Act 1992.
Ms Franks.
Thank you, Mr President. I move that the bill now be read a second time, and I rise to speak briefly on behalf of the Greens to call out on this parliament to protect problem gamblers from predatory practices. We have canvassed this issue previously, back when the government and the Labor opposition made a deal behind closed doors to ram through the so-called gambling reforms legislation around about a year ago. At that time, as part of this deal, the Labor opposition secured provisions that gaming machines are required now to be fitted with facial recognition systems. In theory, this can be used as a tool to help problem gamblers. However, in practice, we have ample evidence that, left to their own devices, gaming venues may not necessarily use this technology for such a purpose, or at least not exclusively for such a purpose. And I refer the chamber to my previous comments on this matter. Indeed, as I quote, this bill would decide how we use that facial recognition technology, whether we use it for good or allow it to be used for evil. The current version of the bill does not prohibit the use, or the current version of the Act now, does not prohibit the use of facial recognition technology on poker machines to be used only to minimise harm. Indeed, it does, by being silent on that in the Act, allow it to be used for evil. And it certainly leaves this technology wide open to being exploited by those who seek to make money and create more gambling rather than less gambling. Technology cannot be value neutral unless we make sure it is, and in this case, this parliament can make sure that facial recognition technology is made less harmful when it comes to poker machines in this state. We will only have ourselves to blame should we not act. At the time that my previous amendments were removed to the original legislation, it was certainly seen and agreed by all sides that no one intended that technology to be used to groom gamblers. But in the deal made behind closed doors between Labor and Liberal, that issue had not actually been canvassed. And when the crossbenchers attempted to make amendments, quite reasonable amendments to minimise harm, gambling harm in this state, every single amendment we sought to put up was rejected. Well, that legislation soon comes to effect. The casino extension opens this week, and the regulations have reflected the concerns raised by the Greens and the crossbenchers that the facial recognition technology be used to minimise harm and that there be prohibitions placed on it being used to groom gamblers. But those protections are currently only in regulation and not in the letter of the law in the Act. So we are relying on goodwill and good practice as an article of faith rather than something that this parliament can fix. Indeed, gambling venues have hailed facial recognition technology as a, quote, return to the old Vegas days. And I'd refer the chamber to the words of the Star Casino's surveillance chief regarding facial recognition technology after it was installed in their casino. Quote, it will also be incorporated into our customer service, where we can recognise customers and welcome them back personally, telling them that their favourite drink is waiting at the bar. And no doubt with that technology know exactly what that favourite drink is. Outside of this being an obvious grooming of gamblers, it is actually downright creepy. And of course, we've been told that this technology is supposed to be aimed at enforcing barring orders for problem gamblers. So why then have we been reticent to ensure that the technology can't be used to create new problem gamblers? The use of facial recognition technology is often used for customer so-called service, and I use that term quite loosely. It's been evidenced in a showcase in Las Vegas and was reported in the Las Vegas Review-Journal by a journalist named Bailey Schultz, who raised quite significant concerns. And again, I urge members to refer to my previous speeches on this. The industry showcase there in Las Vegas did outline that new Vegas intention, and the displays in that showcase showed the title of the game easily blending into the background amid the lights and sounds of slot machines. But with the press of the button, live camera footage of you as the player could appear on the screen with digital dots lining your mouth, eyes and face, and you would not see it, but the technology behind that would come through with the information of, quote, existing user found, and have all of your details attached. Operators are most excited about the money-making potential of facial recognition technology in poker machines. I've got to say, it is quite concerning that this technology has not come into play in this state without the very safeguards that will ensure that it is not used to groom problem gambling rather than prevent it. Casinos are already able to gather more data than ever before, but with this facial recognition technology, there could be even further intrusion. Indeed, instead of just tracking players with a loyalty card, they may even be able to track players who forget their cards at home or those who are not enrolled in a rewards program. And in fact, as another industry figure has quoted, right now casinos don't have a way to incentivise an uncarded player. But facial recognition technology does open it up so that they can start reinvesting in and understanding those players. These reinvestments could keep players coming back for more. And when we know that coming back for more often means coming back for more losses, we should be doing everything in this parliament that we can to reduce that harm. This type of technology can not only be used to reduce harm. Indeed, while it is welcome if it is used to assist with the barring system and to ensure problem gambling does not become worse and is ameliorated, it may well turbocharge the potential for gambling harm through this new technology. So I urge members to reconsider this particular issue as we roll out the new piece of legislation, and to ensure that, as we have all agreed, in principle, and as the current regulations state, that this facial recognition technology be used solely for harm minimisations, and that we ensure that and enshrine that by placing this in the Act rather than trusting the regulations. Let's enshrine our good intentions in the actual legislation so it can never be easily circumvented. And indeed, Mr. President, I commend the bill to the Council.